Hello everyone, it's Maki. Mr. Yoshiyuki Tomino is the creator of the Gundam series. He is such an important figure for devoted fans that there's hardly any need for an introduction. He wrote the story for the original 0079 and directed the anime. He went on to create many sequels as well. The upcoming Hathaways Flash is also being made into a movie based on Mr. Tomino's novel. Today, I'd like to share Mr. Tomino's thoughts with you based on a Japanese radio program that aired on October 24. He appeared on a show hosted by Ogiue, a Japanese critic. This time, I'll focus on the episode in which Mr. Tomino talked about his own father. In the Gundam series, the protagonist's parents often play an important role. In particular, the first protagonist, Admiral Ray, ends up piloting the Gundam his father developed. By learning about Mr. Tomino's perception of his father, we might gain new insights into the relationship between Admiral and Tam. Now, before getting into the main topic, let me make a quick announcement. On my channel, I'm offering membership support. For 90 yen per month, you can get a name badge and commenting perks. Alright, then let's begin the discussion. First, Mr. Ogiue discussed his memories of Gundam. Before interviewing Mr. Tomino, he shared how he first learned about Gundam. This background information was relevant to the interview itself. As an elementary school student, Mr. Ogiue watched Gundam F91 in theaters. For him, F91 was the first Gundam he ever saw. F91 is part of the Universal Century series and is classified as a Gundam sequel. However, Mr. Ogiue explained that even without knowledge of the earlier works, he was drawn into the world of F91. He also said that it was the first time he felt fear while watching a robot anime. Up until then, robot anime meant stories in which the hero looked cool while defeating the villain and thrilling the audience. But F91 shattered that image. As a young student, he witnessed a scene in which a manned weapons code box killed children his own age. Through that, he came to a stark realization in war. Children like myself are also targets to be killed. The Gundam series often takes war as its central theme. Those who aren't familiar with Gundam sometimes say things like it treats war as entertainment or it glorifies war. However, Mr. Tomino never created his works with that intention. I've discussed Mr. Tomino's views on my program before. He has always held the clear theme that the victims of war are civilians. During this discussion, Mr. Tomino emphasized that his intention embedded in his work had reached young Mr. Ogiue's heart with perfect clarity. Then, Mr. Ogiue asked Mr. Tomino a question. It was something like, could you tell us about your experience with war? Looking a little apologetic, Mr. Tomino answered, to be honest, I can't really share the kind of stories that would be considered war experiences. He had very few direct encounters with war, which was the reason for this. However, he did recount that a bomber had dropped bombs in the area where he lived and that he had felt intense fear from the blast and thunderous noise. That is certainly a vivid war experience. Scenes in F91 Victory Gundam and Tane Gundam in which towns are attacked might be based on his memories. From what I gathered, Mr. Tomino was simply making a comparison, meaning that unlike those who actually went to the battlefield as soldiers, he had relatively little war experience. He explained that one reason he didn't experience war firsthand was because of his father. His father was an exceptional photographer. Even today, after producing so much entertainment, Tomino described his father's photography as being of an extremely high level. His father excelled not only in taking photos, but also in his knowledge of cameras and related technologies. With these skills, Tomino's father worked in a field related to the military industry. However, it seems he wasn't directly involved in developing or researching weapons, but rather indirectly. Because of that, the town where Tomino lived was less often caught in the ravages of war. Nevertheless, the idea that his town was really affected by war was still from Tomino's perspective. As I mentioned earlier, his town had actually been attacked. It's possible that it was simply peaceful compared to what might be called a battlefield. Then, Mr. Tomino spoke about when the war ended. His father was in a position similar to being in the military, but he never went to the battlefield or lost his life. However, Mr. Tomino recalled that during his middle school years, his father often said things like, "I was betrayed by the military." The exact nature of this betrayal was unclear, but Tomino felt strongly as a boy that his father had become listless. Then, a change occurred in his father. Tomino himself was studying photography, the craft his father had loved as a middle school student. One day, his father praised one of Tomino's photos unconditionally. Even Tomino, still just a middle schooler, knew that the photo was technically immature. Tomino himself knew that it wasn't a great photo that deserved unconditional praise, and yet his father praised it. Why his father said such a thing is unknown. What is shared here is only Tomino's perspective on the matter. From this, Tomino drew the conclusion that when a person experiences profound loss, they abandon the act of thinking itself. Through his father, Tomino learned that war claims lives and destroys the human heart. Now let's analyze Tem Ray in light of Mr. Tomino's words. In the beginning of the original 0079 story, Tem is thrown into space and disappears. He reappears later in the story, but something about him seems off. The brilliant scientist who had led the development of the Gundam is gone. Instead, he hands ammo over a useless component and insists if you attach this, the Gundam's performance will increase exponentially. Devastated by the sight of his father in such a state, Ammo runs away. Ammo interprets Tem's condition as oxygen deficiency. Many official setting materials also describe Tem Ray as suffering from oxygen deficiency. But was Tem truly driven mad by oxygen deficiency? We must remember that it was Ammo who made that judgment. Ammo was not a doctor. Although he had reached the top level as a pilot, he had no medical knowledge. Therefore, accepting Ammo's diagnosis as unquestionably correct may not be logical. Let's look at another scene. In one scene, Tem watches the news on TV, overjoyed at Gundam's success. He is shown sitting in a dark room, completely absorbed in the broadcast. He doesn't pay attention to anything around him. He's utterly fixated on the image of Gundam in action. Was Tem Ray really suffering from oxygen deficiency? Connecting this scene with what Mr. Tomino said in the interview, that a person who experiences a profound sense of loss abandons the act of thinking changes the impression we get from this moment, doesn't it? Of course, the official setting clearly states that Tem Ray suffers from oxygen deficiency. But what are your thoughts on this? If you'd like, please share your thoughts in the comments. I'll continue to share more of Mr. Tomino's words in the future. please look forward to them. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next program.